The second part of the PowerPoint presentation focuses on the federal title grants. Title I, which most of you are familiar with from the U.S. Department of Education, is designed to help students served by this program to achieve proficiency on challenging state academic achievement standards. Targeted assistance schools design in consultation with parents, staff, and district staff need to develop an instructional program to meet the needs of these students. Both school-wide and targeted assistance programs must use instructional strategies based on scientifically based research and implement parental involvement activities. The purpose of Title I is follows: to ensure that all students have a fair, equal, and significant opportunity to obtain a high-quality education and reach at a minimum proficiency on challenging state academic achievement standards and state academic assessments. This purpose can be accomplished by the following 4 items from the U.S. Department of Education and the Title I law. 1. Ensuring that high-quality academic assessments, accountability systems, teacher preparation, training, curriculum, and instructional materials are aligned with challenging state academic standards so that students, teachers, parents, and administrators can measure progress against common expectations for student academic achievement. Secondly, meeting educational needs of low-achieving children in our nation's highest poverty schools, limited English proficiency children, migratory children, children with disabilities, Indian children, neglected or delinquent children, and young children in need of reading assistance. Third, closing the achievement gap between high and low performing children, especially the achievement gaps between minority and non-minority students and between disadvantaged children and their more advantaged peers. And finally, holding schools, local educational agencies, which are school districts, and states accountable for improving the academic achievement of all students, identifying and turning around low-performing schools that have failed to provide a high-quality education to their students, while providing alternatives to students in such schools to enable the students to receive a high-quality education. Title I of the Improving the Achievement of the Disadvantaged of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 provided for 6 parts. The first part is Part A, which I've just noted for you, is the Local Educational Agency Grant. It includes aid for pupils in high-poverty schools. The target are children from low-income families as designated by receiving free and reduced lunch. The school must focus Title I services on children who are failing or most at risk of failing to meet state academic standards. Schools enrolling at least 40% of children from low-income families are eligible to use Title I funds for school-wide programs designed to upgrade their entire educational program to improve achievement for all students, particularly the low-achieving students. Set-asides for schools in improvement after these schools are not making AYP in the same category for 2 years. Note it must be in the same category for 2 years. 10% of those funds go to professional development, 1% to parent participation, transportation at its reasonable cost, and supplementary educational services, 20%. SES, or Supplementary Educational Services, involve using a group of state-approved vendors who come into your school to provide supplementary services after school hours or by computer at children's home to hopefully increase the potential for the student to pass a state high accountability exam. The other parts of Title I involve Part B, which is the Reading First Literacy focus, which is a focus on the younger child. Part C, which is Education of Migratory Children, which, for example, involve children such as those who were displaced by one of the hurricanes in the recent past. Part D is commonly used for funding for prevention and intervention programs for youth who are neglected, delinquent, or at risk, those youngsters who are incarcerated or placed in juvenile detention facilities. The school corporation serves as the fiduciary for funds to be directed to those centers to serve school corporation children. And Part F, the Comprehensive School Reform Demonstration Grants, which seems to have kind of lost their luster in recent years, but at one time were used for significant improvements of school corporations or districts. Now on to Title II. Title II, Part A, increases the academic achievement of all students by helping schools and districts improve teacher and principal quality and ensure that all teachers are highly qualified, particularly having to do with professional development across all content area. Title II Part A replaced the Eisenhower Professional Development and Class Size Reduction programs. The Eisenhower program mainly focused on professional development in the mathematics and science, while Title II Part A provides for support of teacher professional development across all core academic areas. The importance of improving teacher quality state grants, non-regulatory guidance from October 2006, provides for professional development in the math and science area remains a high priority, but many other activities are now allowed as well. The next part of Title IIA has to do with high-quality professional development and its definition. The term high-quality professional development means professional development that meets the criteria contained in the definition of professional development in Title IX, Section 9101, subsection 34 of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Professional development includes, but is not limited to, activities that 1. Improve and increase teachers' knowledge of academic subjects and enable teachers to become highly qualified. 2. Are an integral part of broad school-wide and district-wide educational improvement plans. 3. Give teachers and principals the knowledge and skills to help students meet challenging state academic standards. 4. Improve classroom management skills. 5. Are sustained, intensive, and classroom focused and are not one-day or short-term workshops. 6. Advance teacher understanding of effective instruction strategies that are based on scientifically based research. And finally, are developed with extensive participation of teachers, principals, parents, and administrators. The Department of Education goes on to discuss that too often the best career advancement options currently available for teachers is to become school principals or local educational agency administrators. This leaves fewer excellent experienced teachers working directly with children in the classroom. Teacher advancement initiatives that offer multiple career paths can provide professional opportunities without having teachers leave the classroom. For example, an LEA could establish a system whereby teachers could opt to pursue various career paths such as A. Becoming a career teacher, staying in the classroom with traditional instructional duties. B. Becoming a mentor teacher, staying in the classroom but taking on additional duties such as mentoring first-year teachers and receiving additional pay for those duties. Or C. Becoming an exemplary teacher based on a distinguished record of increasing student achievement and training other teachers to do the same while receiving additional pay for these duties. In planning for your Title II grant, it's very important and required by law that scientifically based research is utilized. Section 9101, subsection 37 of ESEA, as amended by the No Child Left Behind Act, defines scientifically based research as research that involves the application of rigorous, systematic, and objective procedures to obtain reliable and valid knowledge relevant to educational activities and programs. The statute then explains this kind of research. 1. Employ systematic empirical methods that draw on observation or experiment. 2. Involves rigorous data analysis that are adequate to test the stated hypotheses and justify the general conclusions drawn. 3. Relies on measurements or observational methods that provide reliable and valid data across evaluators and observers, across multiple measures and observations, and across studies by the same or different investigators. 4. Is using experimental or quasi-experimental designs in which individuals, entities, programs, or activities are assigned to different conditions and with appropriate controls to evaluate the effects of the condition of interest, with a preference for random assignment experiments or other designs to the extent that those designs contain within-condition or cross-condition controls. 5th, ensures that experimental studies are presented in sufficient detail and clarity to allow for replication, or at minimum offer the opportunity to build systematically on their findings, and finally has been accepted by a peer-reviewed journal or approved by a panel of independent experts through a comparatively rigorous, objective, and scientific review. The other parts of Title II, which may be of interest to you, are Part B, the Mathematics and Science Partnerships Program, which provides grants, competitive grants, for those teachers and administrators in partnership with the university and others that wish to investigate certain mathematics or science programs, such as the effectiveness of certain methodologies on 9th grade students, let's say in a course like algebra, using a series of different methodologies. Part C, the Troops to Teachers and Transition to Teaching programs, are generally focused at the university level. And Part D, the Enhancing Education Through Technology, more commonly called EETT, provides state-level grants through the federal government to provide technology methodology and implementation in school corporations or districts. Title III grants having to do with language instruction for LEP or Limited English Proficient and immigrant students. This grant generally pays for some teacher service and professional development for LEP or ELL staff, and along with technology and supplies. Funding is based upon a student participation formula. Title IV, the Safe and Drug-Free Schools Act, was eliminated by the United States Congress in the fiscal 2010 budget. It had to do with 21st century after-school programs and safe and drug-free schools and communities. Title V has to do with innovation, charter schools, magnet schools, and competitive programs for special initiatives such as high ability, small learning communities, etc., and this grant was also eliminated by the federal government. The other grants of interest to you, that might be of interest to you, Title VI, in Improving Academic Achievement in Rural Education, Title VII, Indian, Native Hawaiian, and Alaskan Native Education, Title VIII, Impact Aid, for example, on military bases and Indian reservations, and Title IX, which is the general provisions and administrative procedures of the title grants. Other grants that may be of interest within your state: full-day kindergarten grants, prime time in the K-2, providing additional teacher service for smaller class sizes, the High Accountability Acts that provide professional development. In our state of Indiana, it's called Public Law 221, and remediation grants, among others, that are provided by state funding. I hope this provides for you general outline and important information about both the Indiana Public Law 1001-2009, and perhaps your state has a very similar law. All states, of course, adhere to the federal title grants 1 through 5.